When a library's fiscal year is coming to an end, it's time to close out the current fiscal year and roll over to the next. The fiscal year rollover utility provides us with the ability to transition from the current fiscal year to a new fiscal year. During the rollover process, a new fiscal year will be generated with a fund structure identical to that of the current fiscal year. The current fiscal year will be set to a status of either closed or encumbrances closed. This will prevent new orders from being placed against the outgoing fiscal year. There are two rollover options. The first is to run the fiscal year rollover utility and either roll over your free balance or zero out your free balance. The second is to replicate the fiscal year hierarchy. We'll review both options. Let's talk first about running the fiscal year rollover utility. This option creates a new fiscal year with a fund structure identical to that of the current fiscal year. This method also unlinks certain records from the old funds and relinks them to the corresponding funds in the new fiscal year, such as pending purchase orders, polys on pending purchase orders, open invoices, your PO templates, and more. When all of your open purchase orders and line items are rolled over to the new fiscal year, the funds tied to those orders will be disencumbered from the old fiscal and rolled over to the new one as well. In other words, your encumbrances will roll over with this option. When you run the fiscal year rollover utility, all funds in the current fiscal year are closed and they will not be available for future orders. When you run the fiscal year rollover utility, you have two options. You can either roll over your free balance or you can zero out your free balance. When you roll over your free balance, you carry over any unexpended amount from the current fiscal year to the corresponding fund in the new fiscal year. When you zero out your free balance, this means that all the funds in the new fiscal year will start with a $0 free balance. Any unspent or unexpended funds will remain tied to the current fiscal year. The second option for transitioning to a new fiscal year is to select the Replicate Fiscal Year Hierarchy option. With this option, a new fiscal year is created with a fund structure identical to that of the current fiscal year, and all new funds are created with a $0 free balance. This option is different from the rollover utility because encumbrances and link records are not rolled over to the new fiscal year. When we run the Replicate Fiscal Year Hierarchy process, the status of the current fiscal year is updated from a status of open to a status of encumbrances closed. This means that staff can still receive and expend purchase order line items that were encumbered prior to the utility being run. However, any new orders generated after the rollover have to be created using funds from the new fiscal year. Once all outstanding orders have been received and invoiced, the previous fiscal year can be closed. In the weeks leading up to a rollover, staff should take time to ensure records tied to the outgoing fiscal year are resolved as needed. This work includes releasing or deleting pending purchase orders, receiving and invoicing materials that need to come out of the current fiscal, paying open invoices so that money is expended from the correct fiscal year, and applying known credits to paid invoices. There are several reports that can be run to help find records that might need to be looked at by staff prior to the rollover. Clients' reports, such as the Outstanding Orders Report, can help identify orders that have not been received and so may roll over into the new fiscal year. CCS staff can assist with running these reports. There are also a number of SQL queries saved in the Staff Client Find tool, such as polys that have been received but not invoiced, and invoices that have not been paid or closed. Reviewing these reports will help ensure the rollover goes as smoothly as possible. CCS completes all rollovers early in the morning when no other staff are using the database. When the rollover is complete, CCS will rename the newly created fiscal year and let the library know that the rollover was successful. Library staff will review the new fiscal year and funds. At this time, staff can add or delete funds as needed. Once the fund structure is in place, staff allocate dollar amounts to each fund, and then the fiscal year is ready to be used. CCS staff will always walk you through the rollover process when your fiscal year comes to an end. But in the meantime, if you have questions, please email us at help@ccslib.org.